can you provide an overview of the current economic situation in Lebanon?
Well, first and foremost, I'm happy to be with you today.
It's a pleasure.
Lebanon is under total siege today. Beirut is under fire, and it's really a nation in crisis mode. The city has been under fire for a week now. We could feel it all over Beirut. We have about 1 million people that are displaced now, mostly concentrated between Beirut, the capital, and Mount Lebanon area. But we have over 700 today shelters that are hosting hundreds of thousands of people. Despite that, the time frame that the displacement has happened in has been probably one of the first of its kind in history, because it has happened in less than a week, where you have almost 1 million displaced people. The situation is dire. If we're looking at the economy, things are very challenging on every front. Definitely the areas including the south, the Bekaa, the southern part of Beirut, all those have witnessed major losses, major destruction in institutions, in manufacturing facilities, people's jobs, people's homes, and that has direct negative impact on GDP, on growth. We're talking short to medium term and long term effects. So I don't know really where we can start, but it's very challenging. It's very dangerous, the escalation, and the people of Lebanon are paying a very high price.
Mm-hmm. Your Excellency, can you explain now the impact of the ongoing conflict on the tourism and service sectors, which are crucial for Lebanon's economy? Some would say are the cornerstones for the Lebanese economy.
Well, certainly. I mean, everybody knows that the Lebanese economy, particularly the past 4 years after the collapse, has focused a lot on few sectors that were still pumping cash or hard currency, most specifically the dollar, into the economy. And those were tourism, agricultural products, or food and beverage industries, and services. So due to the lack of safety and security, due to the escalation of war, we have lost the entire tourism season of 2024. That includes the summer season. We're diving now into the winter season with uncertainty as to how the escalation is going to happen, what is going to happen. So those are sectors that used to inject into the economy almost $10 billion between the tourism season and the agricultural sector. The agricultural sector has been hit hard because most of the agricultural lands in the south and Bekaa, which constitute a big portion of our national agricultural farmlands, have been totally contaminated, totally burnt out, and trees that are in the hundreds of thousands have been destroyed. The tourism season completely, almost 85–90% of the tourism season have been completely shut off over 2 months ago, making the economy lose billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm. Well, so what about the central bank? What role does it play in stabilizing the economy during this conflict? And what sort of challenges does it face?
Well, it's a joint project actually between Ministry of Economy and Trade, the Central Bank, and Ministry of Finance. We have been working relentlessly together for the past year since the war started. I mean, we've been working on an emergency basis for the past 3 years, particularly to stabilize the currency rate compared to the dollar rate. So despite the war that has been ongoing in Gaza and Lebanon, most recently for almost a year, we managed up till now to kind of keep the exchange rate under control. However, with no growth, with negative GDP due to all what we have mentioned earlier, there is and for further escalation, in case of further escalation, which we're hoping would not be the case, we will be having a very challenging time altogether. The central bank, despite what you do, at the end of the day, you need stability, you need employment, you need a turnaround in the economy. And that is not happening now due to the war. So our biggest fear, is that if things go beyond where we are today, if this war extends longer, we might not be able to contain or control the exchange rate. And that is a big concern that we are having as a government and as a Ministry of Economy.
Mm-hmm. Your Excellency, speaking of the government now, what specific measures are the government implementing to address the immediate economic impacts of the ongoing conflict?
So now our biggest challenge is the displacement. We have a major crisis now, as I mentioned, with over 1 million people, and those are accurate numbers, that have left their homes, left their villages, left their cities, and moved towards the city of Beirut and other parts of Lebanon where there is more safety and security. The government now is working on a three-pillar track, which is first making sure that everybody gets a shelter, everybody has a roof to sleep under with good conditions. Number two is food security, to make sure that we have all the needs and necessities for all the food needs and nutritious needs for people to be able to have their 3 meals a day at least. And then we have the medical aid and medicine that are all available at this point. We have a lot of the Arab countries and a number of European countries that have opened air bridges now and are sending airplanes to Lebanon with aid. We can see a lot coming from the Arab countries in the past week, particularly Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the Kingdom of Jordan, Egypt, and a number of other countries. So there is big reliance today on the international community to support Lebanon, because the capacity that the government has is decent, still acceptable, but cannot last for a long war. We can do few more months based on the government's ability, but without foreign assistance and without foreign aid, we will be in a very difficult place, specifically that we know that those displaced people, even if the war ends tomorrow, even if there's a ceasefire tomorrow, they will not be, back at their homes before at least a year, given the circumstances in the south.